I was being thrown out. Not from just any party. From the Westbridge Charity Gala. The most exclusive event in Manhattan where billionaires sip $1,000 champagne while deciding the fate of small nations. And I, Bella Morrison, was being escorted out by 2 security guards the size of industrial refrigerators. "Ms. Morrison, please don't make a scene," security guard number 1 murmured, his hand the size of a tennis racket hovering near my elbow. "Make a scene? Me? All I did was accidentally spill a glass of red wine on the pristine white dress of Vivienne Ashford Stone, the birthday girl, daughter of the host, and coincidentally, the woman who stole my promotion last week by sleeping with my boss. But yes, of course, I was the one making the scene." "This is a mistake," I whispered, feeling 300 pairs of millionaire eyes drilling into me. My second-hand thrift store dress, which I thought looked so elegant 20 minutes ago, now felt like a dish rag under the crystal chandeliers. "I was invited by the catering service," security guard number 2 added, without an ounce of sympathy. "And you're no longer working tonight." My face burned. Technically, I was here through the catering company. My best friend Saffron got me the gig as a waitress so I could see how the other half lives. But then I saw Vivian, and the wine and, well, physics and gravity did the rest. Whispers filled the ballroom like a tsunami. Each step toward the exit felt like a mile of humiliation. I could feel the tears burning, but I would not cry. Not here. Not in front of these people. And then it happened. A hand wrapped around mine. Warm, firm, absurdly soft. Before I could process it, that hand pulled me back, spinning me like a dance move. And suddenly, I was looking up. At the most gorgeous man I'd ever seen in my life. And then, he kissed me. Time stopped. I mean, literally, stopped. The whispers died. The classical quartet in the corner hit a wrong note and fell silent. Even the security guards froze mid-step, their industrial refrigerator bodies suddenly uncertain, because the man kissing me wasn't just any man. He was Dashiell Rothmore, the Dashiell Rothmore, tech billionaire, Forbes cover regular. The man who'd revolutionized artificial intelligence before he turned 30, and now, at 33, owned half of Silicon Valley and a decent chunk of Manhattan real estate. The man whose face graced magazine covers with headlines like "America's Most Eligible Bachelor" and "The Billionaire Who Refuses to Settle Down." And he was kissing me, Bella Morrison. Part-time waitress, full-time disaster, owner of exactly 1 thrift store dress and a studio apartment in Queens that I shared with a mouse I'd named Gordon Ramsay because he was always judging my cooking. When Dashiell finally pulled back, his steel-gray eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that made my knees forget their primary job of keeping me upright. He had the kind of face that shouldn't exist outside of Renaissance paintings. Sharp jawline, perfectly tousled dark hair, and a smile that could probably end wars or start them, depending on his mood. "There you are, darling," he said, his voice smooth as aged whiskey, loud enough for everyone to hear. His British accent wrapped around each word like velvet. "I've been looking everywhere for you. Darling, darling." My brain short-circuited. I opened my mouth, but only a small, squeaking sound emerged, like a balloon slowly deflating. His hand was still wrapped around mine, warm and impossibly steady, while I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience. He turned to face the security guards, who now looked like they'd rather be literally anywhere else in the universe. "Gentlemen," Dashiell said, his tone polite but edged with steel. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding. This is my guest. Mr. Rothmore, we—" Security guard number 1 stammered. "We were told she was with me," Dashiell finished, his smile never wavering, but his eyes turning glacial. "She's with me. Is that going to be a problem?" The security guards looked at each other, then at Vivienne Ashford Stone, who stood 20 feet away with her wine-stained white dress and an expression that could curdle milk. Her father, Preston Ashford, host of this entire gala, had appeared beside her, his face an interesting shade of purple. "Of course not, Mr. Rothmore," Security guard number 2 practically tripped over his words. Our sincere apologies for the confusion. They retreated faster than roaches when the lights turn on. The ballroom remained frozen, every guest staring at us like we were a Netflix series that just dropped a major plot twist. I could practically hear their thoughts. Who is she? How did she land Dashiell Rothmore? Is that dress from Target? It was from Goodwill, actually, but close enough. Dashiell turned back to me, and suddenly we were in our own bubble, the rest of the world fading into background noise. He leaned in close, his lips barely brushing my ear as he whispered, "Play along, and I promise I'll explain everything. Do you trust me?" Did I trust him? I didn't even know him. But his hand was still holding mine, and my lips still tingled from that kiss. And honestly, the alternative was continuing my walk of shame past 300 judgmental millionaires, so... "Yes," I whispered back, surprising myself. The smile that broke across his face was devastating. Like sunshine after a storm. Like the first day of spring. Like every romantic metaphor I'd ever rolled my eyes at suddenly making perfect sense. "Brilliant," he murmured. Then, louder, addressing the room with the confidence of someone who'd never been told no in his entire life. "Now, if you'll excuse us, my date and I have some catching up to do." He guided me across the ballroom floor, his hand settling on the small of my back, possessive, protective, and sending electrical currents up my spine. The crowd parted like the Red Sea. I caught Vivian's expression as we passed. Absolute fury mixed with disbelief, her wine-stained dress suddenly the least of her problems. As we glided toward the terrace doors, I finally found my voice. What the hell just happened? Dashiell glanced down at me, his eyes dancing with amusement. "I believe Miss Morrison. Bella Morrison. I believe, Miss Morrison, I just rescued you from public humiliation." He pushed open the terrace door, and cool October air hit my flushed face. "The question is, are you going to thank me or slap me?" I stared at him, at his perfect face and his expensive tuxedo and his billionaire confidence, and suddenly, inexplicably, I started laughing. Not delicate, ladylike laughter, full body, can't breathe, tears streaming down my face laughter, because this was insane. This entire night was insane. Dashiell watched me with fascination, like I was a puzzle he was determined to solve. When I finally caught my breath, I wiped my eyes and looked up at him. "I haven't decided yet," I said. And his answering grin? It was absolutely dangerous. The Manhattan skyline glittered before us like a jewelry box someone had accidentally dropped. Diamonds scattered across black velvet. The terrace was blessedly empty, just me, Dashiell Rothmore, and approximately 7 million questions ricocheting around my brain. "Okay," I said, crossing my arms and trying to look authoritative, despite still wearing my Goodwill dress and drugstore heels. "Start explaining. Now." Dashiell leaned against the marble balustrade, looking infuriatingly comfortable, like he posed for photo shoots here regularly. Which, knowing his Forbes cover history, he probably did. "Where would you like me to start?" he asked, his British accent doing unfair things to my concentration. "The kiss? The rescue? Or perhaps why I chose you specifically?" "All of it," I practically shouted, then lowered my voice when I heard music drift from inside. "You just kissed a complete stranger in front of New York's entire elite social circle. People don't do that, not without a really good reason or a severe head injury." His laugh was rich and genuine, crinkling the corners of his eyes. "Fair point. Though I assure you my neurological function is perfectly sound." "Not debatable," I muttered. He grinned wider. "I like you already, Bella Morrison." Something warm unfurled in my chest at the way he said my name, but I squashed it down ruthlessly. Nope, not falling for the charming billionaire act. I'd seen Pretty Woman. I knew how this ended, with me organizing his calendar and him marrying someone from the Hamptons named Kensington. "The explanation," I pressed. "The clock is ticking, Mr. Rothmore." "Dashiell, please." He ran a hand through his hair, and I tried not to notice how the movement made his tuxedo jacket stretch across his shoulders. The truth is somewhat complicated. Try me. I once assembled IKEA furniture without instructions. I can handle complicated. Another laugh. God, that sound was addictive. Focus, Bella. Very well. He straightened, his expression shifting from amused to serious. I'm being sued for breach of promise. I blinked. Breach of... Wait, like a broken engagement? Precisely. Vivian Ashford Stone claims I proposed to her 6 months ago in Paris, then unceremoniously ended things. His jaw tightened, none of which is true. We dated briefly, very briefly, until I discovered she was leaking confidential information about my company to a competitor. I ended it immediately. Let me guess, I said slowly, pieces clicking together. Her father is the competitor? Her father controls the second-largest venture capital firm in North America. He'd very much like to acquire my AI division. Dashiell's eyes turned to steel. Vivian's lawsuit is leverage. Marry into the family, merge the companies, or face a very public, very expensive legal battle that could damage my company's reputation. I whistled low. That's diabolical. That's the Ashford family motto, actually. It's embroidered on their guest towels. A snort escaped me before I could stop it. He smiled, and suddenly we were sharing a moment, conspirators against the absurdity of it all. But I still don't understand, I said. Where do I fit into this disaster? Dashiell took a step closer, then another, until he was right in front of me, close enough that I could smell his cologne, something expensive and woodsy that probably cost more than my rent. I needed to prove Vivian was lying about our relationship, he said quietly. And what better way than to show everyone I'm clearly, obviously, madly interested in someone else? My heart was doing gymnastics routines in my chest. So I'm... what? Your fake girlfriend? If you're willing. His eyes searched mine, intense and honest. I saw you in there, Bella. Watched the whole wine incident. Vivian's dress wasn't an accident. She deliberately stepped into your path. She what? I was standing 15 feet away. She saw you coming, registered who you were. I assume you know each other, and positioned herself perfectly for a collision. His expression darkened. Then she had security remove you. It was calculated, cruel, and exactly the kind of person she is. Rage bubbled up inside me. That manipulative... I know, Dashiell interrupted gently. So when I saw those security guards escorting you out, something in me just snapped. I thought, here's someone who doesn't deserve this humiliation, and here's my chance to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. By kissing me. By kissing you, he confirmed, his gaze dropping to my lips for just a fraction of a second. Though I'll admit that part was perhaps more impulsive than strategic. The air between us felt charged, electric. I should step back. Create distance. Remember that billionaires and waitresses existed in completely different universes. But I didn't move. So let me get this straight, I said, my voice embarrassingly breathless. You want me to pretend to be your girlfriend to prove Vivian is lying about your engagement, which will somehow help you avoid a lawsuit and a hostile takeover? In essence, yes. And what do I get out of this arrangement? Dashiell's smile turned wolfish. Besides the pleasure of my company? Name your price, Bella Morrison. I'm an excellent negotiator, but something tells me you are too. I should say no. This was insane. Fake dating a billionaire? That was literally the plot of 17 romance novels I'd read during slow shifts at the diner. But then I thought about Vivian, about her stealing my promotion, about her deliberately setting me up tonight, about her smug face as security dragged me away. And I thought about my student loans, my mouse-infested apartment, my dead-end job, my life that felt like it was going nowhere fast. Okay, I heard myself say. I'm in. Dashiell's entire face lit up. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But I have conditions, I added quickly. Lots of them. I'd expect nothing less. He extended his hand. Shall we negotiate over dinner? I know an excellent place. Very private. The chef owes me a favor. I looked at his offered hand, then back at his face, at those dangerous gray eyes and that devastating smile. This was crazy. This was absolutely, certifiably insane. I took his hand. Lead the way, fake boyfriend. His fingers intertwined with mine, and that electricity sparked again. As he guided me toward the terrace exit, he leaned down and whispered, "Fair warning, Bella. I'm a very committed method actor." Before I could ask what that meant, we stepped back into the ballroom, and every single person turned to stare at us. And Dashiell Rothmore, tech billionaire and certified madman, pulled me close and kissed my temple like we'd been together for years. I was so screwed. Dashiell's excellent place turned out to be Lumiere, the restaurant with a 2-year waiting list that even celebrities couldn't skip. Yet somehow, 20 minutes after leaving the gala, we were seated in a private dining room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. Because of course we were. He was a billionaire. They probably kept a table permanently reserved, just in case he showed up. "Wine?" Dashiell asked, already signaling the sommelier. "I just assaulted someone with wine," I reminded him. "Maybe we should skip it." His laugh echoed off the tastefully minimalist walls. "Fair enough. Water it is." As the sommelier retreated looking personally offended, I settled into my chair, which was probably worth more than my car, and tried to wrap my head around the fact that I was here, having dinner, with Dashiell Rothmore, about to negotiate a fake relationship like it was a business merger, which I suppose it kind of was. "All right," I said, pulling out my phone. "I'm making a list." Dashiell raised an eyebrow, looking amused. "A list? Of conditions. You said I could name my price." I opened my notes app, fingers poised. "First condition, you pay off my student loans." He didn't even blink. "Done. How much?" $87,000. "Is that all?" He sounded genuinely surprised, like I'd just told him my debt was equivalent to a cup of coffee. "That's all?" I squeaked. "That's my entire financial burden. Bella, I made that amount in the time it took us to walk from the gala to the car." He leaned forward, eyes twinkling. "Think bigger." I stared at him. "You're insane." "Ambitious," he corrected. "There's a difference. Continue." I typed furiously, my brain spinning. "Okay. Second condition, I need a new apartment. My current place has a mouse problem." "The one named Gordon Ramsay?" I'd forgotten I mentioned that. "You were listening." "I always listen." Something in his tone made my stomach flip. "Consider it done. I own several buildings in Manhattan. Pick whichever one you like." "Just like that?" "Bella, you're about to become my very public girlfriend and help me avoid a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. I think I can manage some real estate." He paused. "Though I am curious why you named your mouse Gordon Ramsay." "Because he's constantly judging my cooking from the corner of my kitchen." I made scrambled eggs last Tuesday and he literally squeaked at me. Dashiell's laugh was so genuine, so unguarded that I couldn't help but smile back. "Third condition," I continued, trying to stay focused. "I keep my job at the diner." His amusement faded slightly. "Why?" "Because it's mine. Because I'm not going to become some kept woman who depends entirely on you." I met his gaze steadily. "Because when this fake relationship ends, and it will end, I need to still be me." Something flickered in his eyes. Respect, maybe. Or something deeper. "Agreed," he said softly. "Though I reserve the right to tip outrageously whenever I visit. Fourth condition, no one can know this is fake. Not my friends, not your friends, not anyone. If people find out, the whole plan falls apart." "Naturally," he nodded. "Which means we'll need to be convincing. Very convincing." The way he said it made heat crawl up my neck. "How convincing are we talking?" Dashiell stood, moving around the table until he was beside my chair. He crouched down, bringing us eye to eye, close enough that I could see flecks of silver in his gray irises. "Convincing enough that when I touch you," he said, his hand coming up to tuck a strand of hair behind my ear, "you don't flinch. Convincing enough that when I look at you, people believe I'm completely, utterly captivated." My breath caught. "And are you? Captivated?" His smile was slow, dangerous. "What do you think?" Before I could answer, before I could even form a coherent thought, the door opened and a waiter entered with our first course. Dashiell stood smoothly, returning to his seat like he hadn't just completely scrambled my brain. The food was incredible. Each course was a work of art: seared scallops that melted on my tongue, truffle risotto that made me actually moan, embarrassing, but Dashiell's expression made it worth it, and a chocolate dessert that should have been illegal. Between bites, we hammered out the details. I'd move into a new apartment by the end of the week. He'd handle my student loans by Monday. We'd make our first public appearance as a couple at the Sinclair Foundation benefit this Saturday, where Vivian and her father would definitely be present. "We need a story," Dashiell said, swirling his water glass. "How we met, how long we've been together. The media will ask questions." "How about the truth?" I suggested. "You rescued me from public humiliation and kissed me in front of 300 people. It's romantic enough." "And when they ask why you were being removed from the gala?" I grimaced. "Right, that's less romantic." "We could say you were there as my guest," he mused. "That the security team made an error because you arrived separately." "Why would I arrive separately?" "Because you're independent, stubborn. You refused to let me send a car." His smile was affectionate, like he was describing a real girlfriend. "It's very you, actually. You don't even know me." "Don't I?" He tilted his head. "You're brilliant, but underestimated. Funny even when you're terrified. Loyal to your friends. Saffron got you that catering job because you'd do anything for the people you love. You name mice after celebrity chefs and wear goodwill dresses to billionaire galas because you refuse to spend money you don't have. You're exactly the kind of person who'd dump wine on someone who deserved it." I sat there, stunned. "You got all that from watching me for 20 minutes. I'm an excellent observer." His expression softened. "It's how I built my company. I see potential where others see problems. And what do you see when you look at me?" The question hung between us, loaded with something I wasn't ready to name. "Someone extraordinary, trying very hard to convince the world she's ordinary," Dashiell said quietly. "Someone who deserves so much more than she's been given." My throat felt tight. No one had ever looked at me the way he was looking at me now, like I was something rare and valuable. "Fifth condition," I whispered. "When this ends, we end it cleanly. No drama, no hurt feelings. We both walk away." His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Agreed." But as he reached across the table and took my hand, his thumb brushing across my knuckles in a gesture that felt far too real, I wondered if either of us actually believed that last condition was possible. "So," Dashiell said, that dangerous smile returning, "ready to become the most talked-about couple in Manhattan, Bella Morrison?" I squeezed his hand back, feeling like I was jumping off a cliff. "Let's break the internet, Dashiell Rothmore." And God help me, I was excited about it. This is not an apartment. This is a museum. I stood in the doorway of what Dashiell called a modest two-bedroom in Tribeca, my jaw somewhere around my knees. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Hudson River. The kitchen had marble countertops and appliances I'd only seen on cooking shows. The bathroom had a tub big enough to swim in. "You hate it," Dashiell said from behind me, sounding genuinely worried. I spun around. He was holding my pathetic cardboard box of belongings. Literally everything I owned fit in one box, looking unfairly gorgeous in jeans and a casual navy sweater. Who gave him permission to look that good in normal clothes? "I don't hate it. I'm terrified of it." I gestured wildly at the pristine space. "Dash, there's actual art on these walls. I think that's a real Monet." "It's a print," he assured me, setting down my box. The real one is in my penthouse. That doesn't make this better. His laugh echoed through the empty apartment. 3 days had passed since our dinner at Lumiere, and I still wasn't used to the way his whole face transformed when he laughed, like the serious billionaire facade cracked open to reveal someone younger, lighter. "You'll adjust," he promised, moving to the windows. "Gordon Ramsay will love it here, much better than your old place." About that, I bit my lip. I couldn't find him when I was packing. I think he finally found a girlfriend and moved out. Typical male behavior. Gets a girlfriend and abandons his roommate. Dashiell's expression turned mock serious. "Should I be offended on your behalf?" "Please do. I left him so many crumbs." We both dissolved into laughter, and something warm settled in my chest. This, the easy banter, the casual comfort, was dangerous. This was how fake started feeling real. "Come here," Dashiell said suddenly, pulling out his phone. "We need to christen your new place properly." "Christen it how?" He wrapped an arm around my waist, pulling me against his side, and held up his phone for a selfie. "Smile, girlfriend." The word sent butterflies rioting through my stomach. I smiled, very aware of his hand on my hip, the solidness of him beside me, the way he smelled like expensive cologne and something uniquely him. He snapped several photos, then showed me the results. We looked good together, natural. His dark hair contrasted with my lighter brown waves. His tailored casual contrasted with my jeans and old NYU sweatshirt. We looked like a real couple taking moving day photos. "I'm posting this," he said, already typing, with the caption, "New Beginnings." Wait, but he'd already hit share. Within seconds, his phone started buzzing. Notifications flooded in faster than I could track. Comments, likes, shares, the internet was losing its collective mind. "Oh God," I breathed, reading over his shoulder. "They're analyzing everything. Someone just commented that my sweatshirt proves I'm refreshingly down to earth. Another person is demanding to know where you bought those jeans." "Tom Ford," Dashiell supplied helpfully. Though I'm more interested in comment number 47. I scrolled down and immediately regretted it. "Is Dashiell Rothmore finally off the market?" I read aloud. "Sources say the tech billionaire has been absolutely smitten with his mysterious new girlfriend." Smitten. I told you I was a committed method actor. His breath tickled my ear as he leaned closer to read. "We need to sell this, Bella. That means social media, public appearances, the works." "The Sinclair benefit is tomorrow night," I said, my stomach twisting with nerves. "That's when Vivienne will be there, when this gets real." Dashiell turned me to face him, his hands settling on my shoulders. "Are you having second thoughts?" Was I? This whole week had been surreal. My student loans had disappeared like magic. This incredible apartment was now mine. Saffron had screamed so loud when I told her about meeting someone that I thought she'd shattered glass. I'd kept my promise, hadn't told anyone it was fake, which meant lying to my best friend daily. And Dashiell texted me good morning every day, sent me articles he thought I'd find funny. Yesterday, he'd shown up at the diner during my shift and tipped me $300 on a $12 burger. My coworkers still hadn't stopped talking about it. This was supposed to be business, a transaction. But somewhere between the truffle risotto and this moment, standing in my new apartment, with his hands on my shoulders and his eyes searching mine, it had started feeling like something else entirely. "No second thoughts," I said firmly. "I'm all in." His smile could have powered the entire city. "Brilliant, because I got you something." He walked to my cardboard box and pulled out a garment bag I definitely hadn't packed. "What is that?" "Your dress for tomorrow night." He unzipped it with a flourish, revealing the most stunning gown I'd ever seen. Deep emerald green, elegant without being over the top, with a neckline that was sophisticated but just sexy enough to make a statement. "Dashiell, I can't." "Yes, you can." He held it up against me, his eyes softening. "You're going to walk into that benefit on my arm, and everyone, especially Vivienne, is going to see exactly why I'm completely captivated by you." My heart was doing that gymnastics thing again. You're really good at this fake boyfriend thing. Something flickered across his face. What if I'm not faking? The world tilted. What? I whispered. He set down the dress, stepping closer. What if, hypothetically speaking, this arrangement became more than business? That's against the rules. Condition number 5, clean ending, no complications. I know what we agreed. His voice was low, intense. But I also know that every time I see you, I forget it's supposed to be pretend. Every time you laugh, I want to find new ways to make you laugh again. Every time I touch you for the cameras, I have to remind myself to let go. I couldn't breathe. Dashiell, I'm not asking for anything, he interrupted quickly. I'm just being honest. You deserve honesty. My phone buzzed, shattering the moment. Saffron's name flashed on the screen with approximately 17 exclamation points. Bella Marie Morrison. You're trending on Twitter. Explain. Now. Dashiell saw it too and stepped back, that professional mask sliding into place. You should call her. I'll order dinner. There's an excellent Thai place that delivers. Dash, wait! But he was already heading toward the kitchen, giving me space, leaving me standing there with my heart hammering and his confession echoing in my ears. What if I'm not faking? I looked at the emerald dress, at this beautiful apartment, at the life I'd stumbled into, and I realized with absolute, terrifying clarity, I wasn't faking anymore either. Tomorrow night at the Sinclair benefit, I'd have to face Vivian, the cameras, the scrutiny. But the scariest thing wasn't the public performance. It was the fact that I was falling for my fake boyfriend, and I had no idea if that was part of the plan or a complete disaster. The emerald dress fit like it had been designed specifically for my body, which, according to Dashiell's stylist who'd shown up at my apartment that morning, it had been. You look devastating, Saffron had declared before I left, straightening my necklace. A borrowed, his word, diamond piece that probably cost more than a small country. Like, actually devastating. Dashiell Rothmore is going to swallow his tongue. If only she knew he'd basically confessed his feelings yesterday. Feelings I'd spent all night agonizing over, replaying his words, wondering if I'd imagined the vulnerability in his eyes. What if I'm not faking? Now, standing in front of my building waiting for him to pick me up, I was a bundle of nerves wrapped in expensive silk. The sleek black car pulled up precisely at 7. The door opened, and Dashiell stepped out. Holy hell. He wore a midnight blue tuxedo that made his gray eyes look almost silver. His dark hair was perfectly styled, his jaw sharp enough to cut glass, and when he saw me, he actually froze mid-step. Bella, he breathed, and there was something raw in his voice. You're absolutely stunning. You clean up okay yourself, I managed, though my voice sounded strange. He moved toward me like he was in a trance, stopping inches away. His hand came up, hovering near my face before gently tucking a curl behind my ear. That gesture that was becoming dangerously familiar. Ready to face the lions? He asked softly. As long as you're my lion tamer. His smile was brilliant. Always. The drive to the plaza was too short and too long simultaneously. Dashiell held my hand the entire time, his thumb tracing absent patterns on my palm. Neither of us mentioned yesterday. Neither of us mentioned the fact that this simple hand-holding felt more intimate than any kiss I'd ever experienced. Remember, he murmured as we pulled up to the red carpet. We're madly in love, completely smitten. I can't keep my hands off you. That last part seems accurate, I teased, eyeing our intertwined fingers. You have no idea, he said, so quietly I almost missed it. Then the door opened, and we were thrust into chaos. Camera flashes exploded like lightning. Reporters shouted questions. The crowd of onlookers screamed. This wasn't just a red carpet. It was a media feeding frenzy. Dashiell, who's your date? Mr. Rothmore. Is this the mystery woman from the gala? Are you two officially together? Dashiell's arm wrapped around my waist, solid and reassuring. He leaned down, his lips brushing my ear. "Just breathe. I've got you." And somehow, I did breathe. Because he was there, anchoring me, guiding me through the madness, with the ease of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. We stopped for photos. He pulled me close, his hand spanning my waist. I placed my hand on his chest, feeling his heart beating as fast as mine. When the photographers shouted for us to kiss, Dashiell looked at me, silently asking permission. I nodded. His lips met mine softly, sweetly, but with an undercurrent of heat that made my toes curl in my designer heels. The cameras went absolutely insane, but I barely heard them, because all I could focus on was Dashiell, the taste of him, the feel of his hand cradling my face, the way he kissed me like I was precious. When we broke apart, his pupils were dilated, his breathing unsteady. "That was," he started. "For the cameras," I finished, though we both knew I was lying. Inside the Plaza Ballroom, the benefit was already in full swing. Manhattan's elite mingled under crystal chandeliers, champagne flowing freely. And there, across the room, stood Vivian Ashford Stone in a white dress that screamed, "Look at me," her father beside her looking like a shark who'd smelled blood. "Showtime," Dashiell murmured. We made our entrance, and I felt the moment the room noticed us. Conversations paused, heads turned. Vivian's expression morphed from smug confidence to barely concealed rage. Perfect. "Dashiell!" A distinguished older man approached, hand extended. "Good to see you, my boy. And who is this lovely creature?" "Senator Williams, may I introduce Bella Morrison?" "Bella, Senator Williams serves on the Technology Oversight Committee." I shook his hand, channeling every ounce of poise I'd learned from watching The Crown. "Senator, it's a pleasure." We worked the room like a team. Dashiell introduced me to tech CEOs, philanthropists, and society mavens. I charmed them with genuine interest and the kind of authentic conversation these people probably rarely experienced. And through it all, Dashiell's hand never left my waist, his eyes constantly finding mine, his touch speaking volumes. Then Vivian materialized like a designer-clad demon. "Dashiell," she purred, ignoring me completely. "We need to talk about the lawsuit. Daddy's lawyers have some new evidence." "There is no evidence, Vivian, because nothing happened." His voice was ice. "And I'm here with my girlfriend. You remember Bella? From the gala you had her thrown out of?" Vivian's eyes finally landed on me, cold and calculating. "Oh yes, the clumsy waitress. How democratic of you, Dashiell, dating the help." The insult hung in the air. I felt Dashiell tense beside me, ready to unleash hell. But I spoke first. "You're absolutely right, Vivian. I was working that night, because I believe in earning what I have, not manipulating people to get it." I smiled sweetly. "Though I suppose when you're as talented as you are at manipulation, why stop? Must be exhausting, though, constantly scheming. Do you ever just relax?" Her face flushed crimson. "You have no idea who you're dealing with. A woman who deliberately ruined her own dress to get someone fired?" I tilted my head. "Yeah, Dashiell told me about that. Pretty elaborate plan. Did it work out how you wanted?" Dashiell made a choking sound that might have been a suppressed laugh. Vivian's hands clenched into fists. "This isn't over. That lawsuit will destroy you, Dashiell. And when it does, you'll realize what a mistake you made choosing some nobody over me." "The only mistake I made," Dashiell said quietly, dangerously, "was wasting even 5 minutes on someone as toxic as you. Bella is worth 1,000 of you. And that lawsuit? Bring it. My lawyers are excellent, and they're very eager to discuss your corporate espionage in open court." Vivian paled. Without another word, she spun on her designer heel and stalked away. The moment she was gone, I started shaking. Adrenaline, anger, and shock coursed through me. "Bella." Dashiell turned me to face him. "That was magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. I just publicly declared war on a billionaire's daughter. You defended yourself, and me. His hands cupped my face. You were perfect. Around us, people were definitely watching, whispering. Our confrontation with Vivienne had been noticed. This would be in the gossip columns by morning. Dance with me, Dashiell said suddenly, pulling me toward the floor where couples swayed to a live orchestra. Dash, everyone's staring. Let them stare. He swept me into his arms, one hand at my waist, the other clasping mine. Right now, I just want to hold you. We moved together like we'd been dancing for years. He led effortlessly, and I followed, our bodies in perfect sync. The world faded. No more cameras, no more Vivienne, no more pretending. Thank you, he said softly, for being here, for doing this, for being you. Dashiell, about yesterday, don't. He pulled me closer. Don't say anything you're not ready to say. This arrangement, whatever it is, whatever it's becoming, we don't have to define it tonight. But as we swayed under the chandeliers, my head resting against his shoulder, his heart beating against mine, I realized definition wasn't the problem. The problem was that this fake relationship had become the most real thing in my life, and I was terrified of what happened when the music stopped. I woke up to 17 missed calls and a tabloid headline that made my stomach drop. Rothmore's revenge romance. Billionaire's new girlfriend just a pawn. In legal war? My hands shook as I scrolled through the article. Anonymous sources. Speculation about our convenient timing. Questions about whether I was a hired actress to make Vivienne jealous. Photos of us from last night with captions analyzing every touch, every glance, looking for cracks in our story. They were looking for evidence we were faking. And the terrifying part? We had been. We were. Weren't we? My phone buzzed. Dashiell, don't read the tabloids. I'm handling it. Car is downstairs. We need to talk. 20 minutes later, I walked into his penthouse, my first time here, and stopped dead. The space was breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking all of Manhattan, modern art, sleek furniture. But I barely noticed any of it, because Dashiell was pacing like a caged animal, phone pressed to his ear, his voice sharp with anger. I don't care what they're offering, Gerald. We're not settling. Not with these people. Pause. Because it's not about the money. It's about the principle. Another pause. Longer. Yes. I understand the optics. Yes, I know what they're saying about Bella. That's exactly why we fight. He noticed me, and his expression shifted. Anger melting into something softer, more complex. I'll call you back, he said into the phone, then tossed it onto the couch. Bella, I'm so sorry. This media circus, it's worse than I anticipated. Is it true? The words escaped before I could stop them. Am I just a pawn? A strategy? What? No, God, no. He crossed to me in 3 long strides. You're not. Bella, you have to know you're so much more than that. Do I? My voice cracked. Because we literally made a contract, Dashiell. Student loans, apartment, public appearances. I'm exactly what that article says. Someone you hired to solve a problem. That's not... He ran his hands through his hair, frustrated. Yes, that's how this started. But you know it's different now. Do I? Because yesterday you said, what if I'm not faking? But you never actually said you weren't. You asked a hypothetical question and then ordered Thai food. A muscle in his jaw ticked. You're right. I was a coward. I should have been clearer. So be clear now. He stared at me, those gray eyes turbulent with emotion. I'm terrified, Bella. Absolutely bloody terrified. Because somewhere between that first kiss and last night's dance, you stopped being part of a plan and became the only thing I think about. You're the first person I want to tell when something happens. You're the reason I smile at my phone like a lovesick teenager. You're... His phone rang, shrill and insistent. He ignored it. You're the complication I never saw coming, he finished softly. And I don't know how to do this. How to be real when we started with pretend. My heart was hammering so hard I thought it might break through my chest. "Dashiell!" The phone rang again, then again. Finally, cursing, he grabbed it. "What?" he snapped, then his face went white. "When?" Pause. "How bad?" Longer pause. "I'll be right there." He hung up, already moving toward the door. "I have to go. There's an emergency board meeting. Someone leaked proprietary code from my company. 3 years of AI development just posted online. If I don't contain this in the next hour, we're looking at hundreds of millions in losses and potential criminal charges for whoever's responsible. Oh my God. Go. Go now." He hesitated at the door, torn. "This conversation isn't finished." "I know. We'll talk later. Just go save your company." He kissed my forehead, quick, almost desperate, and was gone. I stood in his empty penthouse, the city sprawling before me, and tried to process everything. He had feelings for me. Real feelings. And I had real feelings for him. But we were built on a foundation of lies, and now the whole world was questioning if we were real. My phone buzzed. "Saffron, Bella, we need to talk. Now. Coffee shop on 5th in 20 minutes. Don't argue." I arrived to find Saffron at a corner table, her expression serious in a way that sent alarm bells ringing. "Saffron, what?" She slid her phone across the table. On the screen was a video from 3 weeks ago, before the gala, before everything, showing Dashiell at some business conference. A reporter asked about his love life. "I'm far too busy for romance," Video Dashiell said smoothly. "Though I suppose if the right arrangement presented itself, one that benefited both parties, I'm always open to negotiation." The reporter laughed, thinking it was a joke. But I knew. I knew he'd been thinking about this plan even then. Planning to find someone to fake date before he ever met me. "Bella," Saffron said gently, "I know you really like him, but you need to ask yourself, did he pursue you because he actually fell for you, or because you happened to be convenient?" I couldn't breathe. That was before he met me. Was it? Because you met him at that gala, and he was already there, ready with the perfect solution. She squeezed my hand. "I just don't want you to get hurt. You deserve someone who chose you first, not someone who saw an opportunity." I walked back to my apartment in a daze. Saffron's words echoed in my head, mixing with Dashiell's confession, with the tabloid speculation, with every touch and kiss and moment that had felt so real. Had any of it been real? Or was I just a really good actress playing a part I'd convinced myself was genuine? My phone buzzed with a text from Dashiell. "Crisis contained. Code leak traced to Vivian's father's company. They tried to frame one of my employees. Police are involved now. Her lawsuit is dead. We won, Bella. It's over. It's over." The fake relationship had served its purpose. The threat was gone. Which meant, according to our contract, our 5th condition, we were done. Clean ending. No complications. I stared at those words. It's over. And something inside me shattered. Because I didn't want it to be over. I wanted more mornings waking up to his texts. More dinners where he made me laugh until I cried. More moments where he looked at me like I was the most fascinating person in the world. But maybe Saffron was right. Maybe I was convenient. The right person in the right place at the right time to solve his problem. And now that the problem was solved, where did that leave us? My phone rang. Dashiell's name flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. Then I did something I'd never done before. I turned off my phone, curled up on my couch in my too fancy apartment, and let myself cry. For the fairy tale I'd believed in. For the fake relationship that had felt more real than anything in my life. For falling in love with someone who might have just needed an actress. Outside my window, the city lights blurred through my tears, and I realized that the hardest part of fake dating wasn't pretending to be in love. It was pretending you could walk away when it ended. I didn't leave my apartment for 2 days. Pathetic? Absolutely. But I'd perfected the art of wallowing. I had ice cream, 3 flavors, romantic comedies, all of them ended happily, which felt like a personal attack, and a determination to avoid the outside world until my heart stopped feeling like shattered glass. Dashiell had tried everything. 17 calls, 43 texts, even flowers delivered hourly with increasingly desperate notes. Please talk to me. I can explain. Bella, you're killing me. I'm coming over. But I'd ignored them all, because talking meant facing the truth, that I'd fallen in love with someone who might have just been playing a part. On day 3, I ran out of ice cream in tears. Time to face reality. I threw on my old jeans, grabbed my keys, and headed to the corner bodega. I made it exactly half a block before I saw it. A billboard. A massive billboard right across from my building. And on it, in letters 10 feet tall, Bella Morrison, I've been an idiot. Please let me explain. D. My jaw dropped. People on the street were stopping, pointing, taking photos. An old lady next to me chuckled. That's some grand gesture, she said. Whoever you are, honey, you better hear him out. My phone buzzed. A text from Saffron. Turn on channel 7. Now. With shaking hands, I pulled up the live stream on my phone. And there was Dashiell, standing outside his corporate headquarters, surrounded by reporters, looking rumpled and desperate and perfect. I'm here to make a public statement, he said, his voice steady despite the chaos. Not about my company, about Bella Morrison, the woman I love. My heart stopped. 3 weeks ago, I had a plan, he continued, looking directly into the camera like he could see me through it. I was going to find someone to fake date, to solve my legal problems. That video you've all seen, that was me being cynical, transactional, treating romance like a business deal. I'm not proud of it. The reporters shouted questions, but he held up a hand. Then I met Bella, and she wasn't part of the plan. She was the plan falling apart. Because you can't fake the way she makes me laugh. You can't stage the way my heart races when she walks into a room. You can't script the way she challenged me, saw through my walls, and made me want to be better. His voice cracked. I fell in love with her the moment she started laughing in my face when I asked if she was going to thank me or slap me. I fell harder when she defended herself against Vivian with more courage than I've seen from anyone. And I fell completely, irrevocably, when she looked at me like I was worth loving, not just my bank account or my status. Tears were streaming down my face. People on the street were staring at me, recognition dawning. Bella, if you're watching, and God, I hope you're watching. Yes, we started as fake. But there hasn't been a single moment since that first kiss that felt anything but real to me. You're not convenient. You're not a pawn. You're the woman who changed my entire life in one night, and I'm terrified I've lost you because I was too cowardly to say all of this sooner. A reporter shouted, "Is this a publicity stunt?" Dashiell's laugh was bitter. If it is, it's the worst one ever, because I'm currently humiliating myself on live television and my PR team has resigned. But no, this is just a man who's desperately in love and trying to fix the biggest mistake of his life. He stepped closer to the camera. Bella Morrison, I love you. Not fake love. Not convenient love. Real, messy, terrifying love. The kind where I can't sleep because I'm wondering if you're okay. The kind where I want to know every story from your childhood and every dream for your future. The kind where the thought of losing you makes it hard to breathe. He paused. Please give me a chance to prove it. Please. The feed cut off. I stood on the sidewalk, phone in hand, tears making mascara tracks down my face while strangers applauded and the old lady patted my shoulder. Well, she demanded, what are you waiting for? Go! I ran. I ran like I was in a movie montage, dodging taxis, apologizing to pedestrians, my lungs burning. His headquarters was 12 blocks away. I could do 12 blocks. I burst through the lobby doors, frantically searching the crowd of reporters. But he wasn't there. Miss Morrison? A security guard approached. Mr. Rothmore said if you showed up, to send you to the roof. The roof? I took the elevator 47 floors, my heart hammering, my mind racing. When the doors opened to the rooftop garden, I saw him. Dashiell stood by the edge, hands in his pockets, looking out over Manhattan. He turned when he heard me, and his expression, hope mixed with fear, mixed with love, nearly undid me. You came, he breathed. You bought a billboard, I countered, walking toward him. I bought 3. There's one in Times Square and one near your old apartment. The 4th is pending approval. That's insane. I'm insane about you. He closed the distance between us. Bella, I know I hurt you. I know you have every reason not to trust me. But I need you to understand. That video was recorded before I met you. I was planning to find someone, yes. But the moment I saw you being escorted out of that gala, looking furious and brave and absolutely magnificent, every plan I had evaporated. I kissed you because I couldn't not kiss you. But Saffron said, Saffron loves you and was protecting you. She was right to question my motives. His hands framed my face, thumbs brushing away tears. But my motives changed the second you laughed at me on that terrace. Changed more when you negotiated like a CEO over Thai food. Changed completely when you destroyed Vivian with nothing but wit and truth. I didn't fall for you gradually, Bella. I fell all at once like stepping off a cliff. That's terrifying, I whispered. Absolutely terrifying, he agreed. But also the best thing that's ever happened to me. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. I love you too, I said, the words tumbling out. I've been trying not to, trying to protect myself. But I love you so much it scares me. His smile was radiant, transformative. Yeah? Yeah. Even when I thought you might have just needed an actress, I couldn't stop loving you. Which is either really romantic or really pathetic. It's perfect. He pulled me closer. You're perfect. We're perfect together, even when we're a disaster. So what happens now? I asked. The arrangement is over. Vivian's threat is gone. We don't have to pretend anymore. Then let's not pretend. His forehead touched mine. Let's be real, messy, complicated, real. Date me, Bella Morrison. Actually, date me. Let me take you to terrible movies you'll hate and expensive restaurants you'll feel uncomfortable in. Let me meet Gordon Ramsay II when you inevitably get another judgmental mouse. Let me be there for the boring, normal, everyday moments, not just the grand gestures. Gordon Ramsay II? You think I don't know you'll adopt another mouse? I'm planning ahead. I laughed, bright and genuine, and felt the last of my fear dissolve. Okay. Okay? Okay, Dashiell Rothmore. I'll date you. For real this time. He kissed me then, and it was nothing like the kisses before. Those had been performative, strategic, careful. This was honest, desperate, full of promise. His hands tangled in my hair, my arms wrapped around his neck, and we kissed like we were sealing a vow. When we finally broke apart, both breathless, he rested his forehead against mine. Fair warning, he murmured. I'm probably going to do embarrassing things like buy more billboards and show up at your diner wearing a I Love Bella t-shirt. You wouldn't dare. Try me. I have nothing left to lose. You've already seen me at my most pathetic on live television. I laughed again, joy bubbling up. 3 million views and counting, by the way. Worth it, he said simply. Every second was worth it to get you back. And standing on that rooftop, with Manhattan spread before us, and the future suddenly bright and terrifying and wonderful, I knew something for certain. The fake relationship might have ended. But the real love story was just beginning. 1 year later. I'm telling you, he's judging my scrambled eggs again. Dashiell looked up from his laptop at our kitchen table, our table, in our apartment, the Tribeca place that had become home. Gordon Ramsay II sat in the corner, whiskers twitching with what I swore was disapproval. Perhaps they're not up to his standards, Dashiell suggested, grinning. Your mouse has impossibly high standards. Our mouse, he corrected, standing to wrap his arms around me from behind. And I happen to love your scrambled eggs. I leaned back against him, marveling at how natural this felt. How right. We'd spent the last year figuring out what real looked like. It looked like lazy Sunday mornings and arguments about whose turn it was to buy groceries. It looked like him showing up at the diner during my shifts, still tipping outrageously despite my protests. It looked like me learning to navigate his world of galas and board meetings, and him learning to love my world of dive bars and karaoke nights with Saffron. It looked like this. Comfortable, imperfect, absolutely perfect. I have something for you, Dashiell said suddenly, his voice nervous in a way that made my heart skip. If it's another billboard, it's not a billboard. He turned me to face him, and I saw it then. The vulnerability in his eyes, the slight tremor in his hands. Though I'll buy 1,000 if you want them. He dropped to one knee. My hands flew to my mouth. Dashiell, Bella Morrison, I've spent the last year trying to prove that I love you. Really, truly, madly love you. And I want to spend the rest of my life continuing to prove it. He pulled out a ring box, opening it to reveal a stunning emerald, the exact shade of the dress from that first benefit. Marry me, not as a business arrangement, not as a strategy, but as the woman I want to wake up next to every morning, even when Gordon Ramsay II judges our breakfast choices. Marry me because I love you more than I knew it was possible to love anyone. Tears streamed down my face. You're sure? You're absolutely sure this isn't some elaborate performance? He stood, cradling my face in his hands. Bella, loving you is the only real thing I've ever done. So yes, I'm sure. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Then yes, I whispered. Yes, yes. 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring on my finger, and it fit perfectly. Of course it did. Dashiell had probably measured my finger while I slept, the overachieving romantic that he was. When he kissed me, Gordon Ramsay II squeaked from the corner. Approval, maybe, or more judgment. With that mouse, you could never tell. But as I kissed my fake boyfriend-turned-real fiancé in our kitchen while our judgmental mouse watched, I knew something for absolute certain. The best love stories don't start with a plan. They start with a kiss that changes everything. The end.